Hi everyone, welcome to Monday morning. It's not crowdfunding countdown. Likely next week we can kick it back off into gear looking at every single board game campaign that is finishing up. But I thought what might be fun would be to take a look at the past year. I know you've probably been inundated with 2022 best of blah 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 on YouTube, but I'm here to tell you I'm going to give you one more. These aren't necessarily the best campaigns. Well, they are. I think they are. I actually filmed a show with Rahdo over on Rahdo's channel. I'll link to that in the description below. My 1 to 5 top crowdfunding campaigns of the year. We did a top 10. We went back and forth. I got 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2. So I was denied the opportunity to talk about my number one. So if you want to see my top 5 and you want to skip this nonsense, well, go check that one out. It was a fun video, and you get to hear Rahdo's top 5 crowdfunding games as well. But this one, what I thought might be fun would be to go over all the stuff that didn't make it on the list. If you didn't know, I have this right here. This is my crowdfunding countdown master list that I've been filling out since I started in 2021. I've been filling out every time. I have a link to the YouTube description up above, and let me move myself for the time being. There we go. You can see ever since 2021 I've been doing this, and once we hit 2022 I kept doing it. But what I thought might be good, and I'll scroll through just really quickly or else you'll see which ones that I've highlighted as links. Most of them I've just made them links so it was easier for me to click on. And then you'll see down here too, I've been tracking the number of games. We're nearing 1,000 games covered. That should be right above my head. But I thought it would be fun. I just went through this list for the Rahdo video, and I opened a bunch of different tabs, and those tabs I sort of organized into a vague order and determined what my top 5, top 10 were going into the video, but I didn't really get to talk about any of the other ones that weren't on the list. And so what I thought I would do this Monday morning is do a retrospective, and this is me going through the entire list just briefly, really quickly looking at the names of the games, and I've actually added a couple more because I saw a couple that I missed on the way by that I missed in the first one for whatever reason, and so they're lower on the list. One of them was one that I actually backed though, which I had forgotten to include, and obviously I want to talk about it because I did end up backing it. And so this I thought would be cool to go through and see which ones stuck with me personally. I'm sure you all have your own that stuck with you personally, and you could scroll through and not get distracted by some that are clickable links and some that aren't. Moving forward, I'm going to have a little tab in the bottom that'll give us a 2023 designated file folder for all of 2023 because I'm going to continue looking at every single board game there, and I'll make sure that all of those links are clickable so that you can use it as a resource as to when it funded, when it was, etc., etc. So I wanted to figure out which were the ones that stuck with me, which were the ones that I remember feeling fondly about, and then we'll see if I was correct in feeling fondly about them as we review them right now. And there just happened to be 25. I wasn't planning on there being 25. There's 25 including the 5 that are over on Rahdo's channel, which I'm not going to talk about because I spent an hour talking about it over there. And it was fun talking about over there, so do check that one out after here. Or maybe you're from Rahdo's channel, in which case, hey, welcome. But so now I've organized these into a very loosely structured list. So that's what we're going to be doing today in this video, is just going over those, and I will give my reasons as to why these jumped out at me and why these still jump out at me as games that I think look good. And you know me, I'm not a slave to the hype, and so none of these will be over $1 million campaigns because that was in a separate video, and why am I going to talk about things that you've already heard? I can do that at the end of every episode instead, but I will talk about some stuff that you have already heard, but you know, not as recently. Maybe. So let's get into the list. We'll start with 25 and we'll go up, and they are sort of ordered, but they're not really ordered. So don't take this as gospel of I think 25 is the worst one, because I don't. Well, 25 is the one that I remember the least about, and it's probably because it was back in January. And honestly, let's just switch over to it now. The reason why it's number 25 is because I was looking through this and I thought, why did I ever think this looked interesting? That's perhaps not a great way of starting this off, but this is the Palaces of Carrara, the 2nd edition, and it really should be replaced with La Granja, the 2nd edition. It's not, because you all made fun of me for completely mispronouncing it, so now it doesn't even get a mention. That's on you. That's what bullying gets you. No, thank you for correcting my pronunciation. It is La Granja. But in the Palaces of Carmen Carrera, which is the only joke that I do remember about it, you're going to be collecting these little bits of marble, and you're going to use that marble to build stuff. And it's just one of those things where it's rated pretty highly. It's by the duo Kramer and Kiesling, which I'd like to get more into. Michael Kiesling did create Azul. That's what he's probably most famously known for. This is one that's really on the list because my friend Tim said he liked it. Really, that's the reason, and that he was excited about getting it. And it is a chunky little Euro, and I like chunky little Euros, which is fitting for me being a chunky wicked bad boy. So Palaces of Carrara is one that, like, if somebody pulled it out at a game night, I would go, ooh, and that's kind of what this list is about. The deluxe edition was way too much for me for what it is. I don't need to pay $108 Canadian plus shipping for a chunky little Euro that I don't find memorable enough to remember. But I swear, all the other ones I remember. It's just this one that was the sort of outlier, and I had to get to 25, so that's that one. Let's go to the next one. Next one is kind of an outlier pick. This was one that I didn't click back on when I was going through the list the first time, and it is The Fog. Escape from Paradise, but I remember thinking this looked really cool, and I want to talk about it again now. I still feel that way, even if it's a little bit to a lesser extent. It kind of reminds me of Survive, Escape from Atlantis. You're trying to get as many people onto these boats as possible, and each person has a specific way of moving as well. So you have a certain number of movement points, and you're heading towards the boats, and you don't want to get caught in the fog, because then all your people, look, they're going to disappear. They're going to disappear. They disappeared, and that was just horrendous. It was horrendous. It was not as exciting as I was hoping for. It was actually very sad that these people perished in this fog. They lost their way. I hope that doesn't happen to anybody else, especially not me by myself. But yeah, I remember liking this, one, for the price point, and two, because I thought it was a cool little standard game. I don't think you needed the deluxe edition, but I remember the retail edition feeling like it was a neat little game. I think it's going to fall into that sort of good and decent category, right? I don't think this is going to be mind-blowing, but I think it's going to be nice and simple, and I feel if you like Survive, which a good friend of mine does, then this would hit in a similar way. Very quick to play, simple mechanics, just feels good. The Fog is well made, fun, fast, and intense game. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would be hoping to get out of the game, and yeah, that's why I wanted to revisit it and talk about it again. That funded in August, September 22nd, more recent than not. Moving along, another one that I thought looked really fun was Union Stockyards. I know it kind of had good reviews, not like amazing reviews, well, look, but just good reviews of trying to build out your little stockyards, your meat farming, become the king of the meat packing district, which I could get very sidetracked with the big five meat packers, and I probably should. You could have a Cuddly meat packer. You could have you have more meat packers. Are more meat packers? No, I was just thinking the Swift meat packing is something I don't know if anybody is really interested in, or if you're more of a solo meat packer, you can get your volleyball Wilson to watch. And this, one of the main aspects is this sort of commodity speculation that happens throughout it. But that's based upon the amount of inventory that's still left over. I just thought it looked like a neat game with a few interesting things going on, because as you're building out your own little board in little market, or stalls in the market rather, that you own, with a lot of fun little tracks to go up and down on. So I remember thinking this one looked fun and would definitely want to try this. This finished back in June. So that tells, I've still remembered it after 6 months. This again was one, a lot of the ones that are in front were things that I missed on my first time through as I was getting the list together for Rahdo. And I think I missed them for a reason, because I think they were just going to kind of come out as good. But I still think they're worth talking about, because they look fun. One that was really recent was a series that I think does look really good. This was my pick of the week very recently. December 2nd, it finished its funding, so it was one of the last games that we finished up talking about, one of the last crowdfunding countdowns. And what was really neat about this one is the sort of dual worker placement stuff that's going on. You're fighting for spots on the board, but you're also fighting for your own little buildings that you're going to build, and you're fighting to use the specific color of worker, which can only go to a color of building. So there's a lot of competition here that you're going to be working on. And how you make your existing buildings more interesting, I thought this one looks cool as well. So yeah, that's my, number 21. Again, these don't have numbers. Speaking of which, because Almost Innocent should probably be higher because I played this. I still have the prototype on my shelf. I think. I can't see it right now, but I know it's back there somewhere. This is a cooperative deduction game that looks really fun. I did a review on this one and I quite enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to getting the full thing. And, you know, they're going to send me the full pledge for doing the review and doing the number of these solutions. I found it a bit easy. And so I hope that the difficulty level gets ramped up a bit as we move on. It felt pretty standard, but that also could be determined by card draw, right? Sometimes in these things like the Crew or Hanabi or any sort of deduction game, you sometimes just get an easy card draw and it makes the game a bit easier. But I found it was consistently easy, so I don't know how many easy card draws I was getting and just how easy it is. But it could also just be I was playing just the prologue campaign. There were only 3 scenarios when I tried it out, so that's all I could play. There's going to be like 12 or so in the main game. I was hoping for like 30, but 12 still feels fun as long as there's enough variance in the modules as you go through, because there's going to be modules that you unlock as part of this campaign that's not really a campaign. It's like the Crew style campaign. And yeah, I just think that this, look, I'm going to be on here. There we go. That's a good thumbnail. I got to do more thumbnails like that closer to the camera. That doesn't matter. But yeah, Almost Innocent does for deduction what the Crew did for trick-taking. Variable setups and interesting modules keep things fresh and replayable in a really solid, accessible deduction game. Whoever said that quote was a smart person. I also really like the price point. I also think it'll be cheaper and is a retail purchase. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I'm excited for when this one comes out for sure. Now, moving along, something I wanted to check in on, of course, is everybody's favorite, Spicify. I just love, honestly, what made me click on it is that it says Spicify Take 2. I forgot that Spicify was a relaunch. Order now. Let's see. How can we order Spicify? 18 euros, add to order. That seems pretty easy. Seems like you could get your copy of Spicify and start getting spicy with Fabio pretty much instantly. Created by Fabio Esposito. Oh, you can bet he's got a PhD in energy engineering. He will engineer you getting your energy up all night long. Interests and passions: design, drawing, photography, games. You know what sort of drawing and photography Fabio is doing, and it is that took place on the Titanic. I just love this. We've played both sets many friends. Honestly, Spicify is the gift that keeps on giving, and, well, that's a bit heteronormative of you. But I do like that the video is not, like, completely heteronormative, so that's good. And then we scroll through that so I don't get banned from YouTube. Yeah, I almost said Fab is the gift that keeps on giving. Fabio's secret special little cards are the gift that keeps on giving. I just want to see the updates. What are the updates? Wishing you all a spicy 2023. Yes. Hello, Spice. Oh, I thought it said Spicers, but Spicifiers are pretty good. Write a review on Board Game Geek. Yes. I mean, I think this is what this video can really be all about. Spicify. No one's rated it yet, but 2 comments. Spicify rated it themselves, so that was good. Fun game to play with friends. Oh, and then thanks for explaining the rules. No one has written a review yet. Where's the video review? And Spicify has made all the threads, which I'd love to see. But I feel pretty good that this will eventually get to the top 1,000 of Board Game Geek if I have my druthers, or maybe my druthers are all on the floor. December 17th, though, they shipped, though. That's pretty good fulfillment. Way to go, Spicify. All right, we're done with that. Yeah. One of these days, Fabio will invite me to effin'. Anyway, let's move along from Spicify to Fliptown, something that I, could play with my parents. Please, yeah. No, I'm not going to go down that road. Fliptown looks cool. Again, this is one that I forgot about. Or not forgot about, but just didn't click on in my pass through. But it looks like a really neat roll and write that uses these cards in a unique manner. You're going to have 3 cards. It's kind of a bingo mechanism. And then you're going to choose the areas in which you can play these cards and use them in the roll and write standard style of everybody takes it and you choose a card for its suit, you choose one for its value, and then you choose one as your poker hand. You're trying to do 3 things simultaneously and fill out a bunch of stuff. I think it looks really, really neat. I love that there's an affordable print and play, and I didn't think it was that expensive for a copy, even though it is just a deck of cards and some whiteboards, but still, yeah, it definitely looks really fun. Be interested to try that one. If you like roll and writes, I think put that again on your radar. When did that fund? That was mid-year, right? Yeah, May 20th it funded. So it's been a year. It's been a year of covering everything, and that's kind of cool. This one, Silicon Valley, Only 28 bucks US for this cool polyomino style game. You get all these polyomino pieces and you're going to be creating patents and technology. I thought this one looked good. I still think it looks good. This was back in April. Wow, it's always shocking to me that when they to remember how far back they actually were and to remember feeling kind of good about it. Yeah, you always love when quotes are just tell you nothing about the game and just say facts. I can say facts too. Silicon Valley is a board game. There's my quote for it. That's just me being sassy. I won't show you which quote I was making fun of. I don't know. I think this one looks really neat though, and especially I remember for the price point, I felt like this was a good price point and something that I would want to try, and something that I still would want to try too. Like, I'm remembering for the price point, but I'm also remembering it. Yeah, I just remember this one looks cool, and I like also that you're fighting for who can get the patent first, and if you do get the patent first, then other people can copy it though. So it's like a give and take of, do you want to be the first person to get it or not? Because other people can just use it to do whatever you want. So yeah, this one looked fun. Would be one that I'd want to try. That one I did click twice, so that should tell you something. What are we on? Spicify, I know, was number 20, right? So up to 17, we've got Tindaya, the deluxe edition, or just regular Tindaya, really. Anytime it says deluxe edition, you know I'm interested in just the regular. I remember this campaign. What did it fund? Funded back in February. Wow. They must be close to delivering too. I remember being annoyed that I had to put in my email to get their rule book. That was very annoying. But other than that, this looks like a cool game. It doesn't look like Spirit Island. For those of you who are thinking, who heard, yeah, it's kind of this plus Spirit Island. No, it's Spirit Island in theme only. Yeah, we see a bunch of people saying Spirit Island's successors. It doesn't feel like that to me reading the rulebook, but again, I haven't played it. I love the sort of shrinking nature of the board that's happening here. And I think I'm going to hate having to feed my tribe. This was also one where I wasn't sure if cooperative or competitive was going to be the optimal way to play. I think it has both, if I remember correctly. I would love to click on the rulebook to remind myself, but you won't let me. Yeah, cooperative and competitive. There we go. Still got it. Just barely. I also like, too, that you can manipulate these two gods with the one that's going to take tiles away and the one that's going to turn tiles into ash. So that's kind of neat. It just feels like something with a lot of fun moving parts. As the board gets smaller and things get a little bit closer together, would be fun to try out. This one's probably a little bit lower. Should be closer to Palaces of Carrara, because I remember not as many specifics with this one. Realistically, I'd have to refresh my memory on it, but I still think it looks fun. Maybe I'm just buying into the hype of other people saying that they're excited about it. I'm just pretending that I am as well, but I don't think so. Speaking of pretending to be excited about something while thinking it's just okay, we have Encyclopedia next. No, I think Encyclopedia does look good, but I think in practice it's going to be better than it looks. Or at least that's my hope. I think it looks good. I hope that it is great. I know a lot of people have received Encyclopedia recently and have been enjoying it, but I think one of the gimmicks of like the dice that you steal from other people doesn't feel that significant. That's one of the critiques that I've made about it, or not I've made about it. That's one of the critiques that I've heard about it, rather. I hate how much you still have to scroll down to get to how the game plays, right? This is especially annoying later on when you're going back to these things. But yeah, I think this is one where you're going to be getting things and chaining things together, and all the animals will be worth victory points, and it feels like it'll be a satisfying flow to it, which is why I'm definitely interested to try it. As it's fighting for that wingspan sphere, I'm always interested in trying stuff that fights for that wingspan sphere, even though Wingspan's great. Wingspan's a great game, let's be real. But it's one that I worry I could overplay. So finding games that give me a similar feel in that theme that I could bounce back and forth between seems exciting to me. On to number 15. Now we're getting to the cream of the crop. Skyrise Kingdom by Roxley Games. This one looked really fun as well. When did it finish? July 1st. But all of this is it's a big auction game. And, you didn't need it because it was all this extra stuff just trying to be Foundations of Rome. But I really liked the auction ideas here. I like the other stuff too, that you're collecting different things and making more spaces more valuable. But I love the auction mechanic where you keep on making bigger and bigger towers until nobody wants to make a bigger tower, and then that person gets it. And so there's going to be, I think, a really neat way of building and constructing. Yeah, I think this one looks really fun. I think this sort of pure auction game, well, not pure auction game, but the focus being the auction game, it feels really neat, but I don't need all the bells and whistles, so that's why I didn't really consider it on my end. Something that I remember really being excited about, even though it's a Mancala board game inspired by Trajan, I think that's why I was excited about it, because even though I don't like Trajan, I know it's a great game, even though I hate it and I'm so bad at it. This one funded February 20th. It's Ostia. It's by, what else did they do? I know that there's something else that they did that I thought was cool. Oh, just Aqua Garden. All right, I didn't think Aqua Garden was actually that cool. I thought it didn't look as exciting as other people thought it was. They backslid the Spire though, so there you go. Yeah, but you can see the comparison to Trajan because you have this rondel of how you choose your actions. And this is something in Trajan in which I cannot stand. Well, it's not that I can't stand it, it's just I'm so bad at it. But even though I'm bad at it, I can see me wanting to get better at that style. And this is a very similar style with slick mechanics, I think. And they say it's clearly inspired by Trajan. I think that's fine to say. I think that tells you the type of game that you're going to be getting. This feels like Trajan with a little bit different twist on it, where you're trying to create routes, and perhaps without so many different things to focus on, but more of a central thing to focus on, which honestly makes me a little bit more excited than Trajan, because I found the actions that you take are all kind of 6 mini games that you're fighting for, and if you were able to combine all of that into one big game, then I might be more on board with figuring out the puzzle of what I need to do. I don't know, but yeah, it looks fun, and I wanted to mention it just as a memory. Moving to number 12, and I realize my order is all mixed up, but it doesn't matter. We've got Total War Rome. I'm leaving all the stuff that I backed for at the end, right? That it automatically gets to the end if I backed it or if I didn't. I might have to change my order. Yeah, Total War Rome was something that really surprised me. I remember this being very early in the year, funded the 20th of January, almost a year ago. I think this one's going to be good. I did not expect this to look interesting whatsoever, because I thought that it was just going to be another IP cash grab, but I think this one is going to be really satisfying for those of you who like this style of game. I love the tech trees that each faction has. I love how the factions interact with each other. I just think all of the aspects and all of the things you can do seem fun. Even this bidding, this turn order bidding, you then get to choose the order, right? Choose the direction of the turn and see what everyone's going to do. Or bid because you need to go first and you know you need to do the thing that happens. Even the taxing is fun, that you can super tax a place if you like burn cards for it. I mean, it ended up being, $103 Canadian plus shipping, right? It would have been like $140 for me. And that's too much because I'm cheap and I wasn't making any money, and I barely am now. But I just think that this one is going to be really solid, and the people who got it are going to really enjoy it. Let's see where they're at. The production looks like it's going along. It seems like somebody was ill, and so it's going to be out starting shipping end of April. That's a pretty good timeline. Yeah, I'm excited for those who got this, and I remember thinking it looks good, and looking back, I still think it looks good, so there you go. I guess we're at number 11 now. I know it's number 12. It is number 12. We're at number 12. I don't know. Yeah, it's because I forgot about the one that I had set this as my number 11, but I had forgotten about one that I am excited about, so I guess this is number 12. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Darkest Doom, this one did look really good as well. I think this was my pick of the week. It was expensive, but honestly might have been worth it in retrospect. When did this finish? April 12th. Wow. I feel like a lot of these I assumed were so much later in the year because I remember them so viscerally, but I guess that's what also reading through all the rule books does for you, right? You remember the things that jump out, and you remember the things that that really made you sit up and take notice. So that's good that this was one of them, and that past Chris wasn't a horrendous ninny. Maybe. No, I don't need all this plastic, right? But I remember I really like the multiple paths to victory for this one. You're going to start out kind of against... Look at this big chunk. Oh, ridiculous. Yeah, 99 euros, 109 US. This would have been like 170 Canadian. That's what stopped me, because after conversion and shipping, that's what usually stops me. But this one does look fun. You get to have your own little player, and these things can kind of possess you, or you can become one with them. This leader of the hunt is when you turn to the dark side and you start working for the bad team, and then your alignment shifts. Or you can try to take out the bad team, or you can try to get the most renown and take over the responsibilities of the queen or the princess or whoever it is that is being corrupted by the darkest doom. Or you can save that person, right? I like that this feels very open in what you can do and what you can push towards. I think that looks really fun. And the art and oh my goodness, a drawer. Oh, I love drawers. I do. The art and the sculpts look really good so far. What are people saying? People seem very happy with it. That makes me happy. Yeah, this one looked good. Of course we're gonna get into stuff that look good. Yeah, I think you can see by my reaction, right, that it's a bit genuine. Just a bit. I try to only be a bit genuine in my day-to-day life. Yeah, I think there's a lot that you get to do on the board here, and the different pathways that you can get, and the little cages of things that can either possess you or upgrade you as you upgrade your own little character. That feels fun. So yeah, that one looked good. My number 11 would be Solar 175. This is by Cogito Ergo Meeple. And they're a team who I really love their YouTube channel. They had a YouTube channel for a bit, and they started doing these like design diaries now for Solar 175, but they also had like the history of Monopoly and breaking things down by mechanics, and I loved that insight into the board gaming history, and I really thought they were well put together. And so it excites me that they are producing a game that also looks really good. It's Orleans in space as a legacy game. That's exactly what it is. If you wanted that, go get this game. I don't need any more legacy games. It says 67 pounds. That's like 100, right? When you think about the conversion. I don't need any more legacy games. That's why, and I have Orleans, and I enjoy Orleans. If I want to play Orleans, I'm just going to play Orleans. That being said, I think that this looks really cool if you would prefer that different theme, and if you wanted that legacy style of things that grow. I think it looks really, really neat from not like widely known designers. I think a really ambitious game that could presumably play quickly if it follows that 60-minute timing that they're saying there. Well, they all look fun. That's why I'm covering them. But this one was very memorable to me, and this was one where I was like, if I had time and money, I'd pull the trigger on. And speaking of no time and no money, well, we move on to Bagh Chal, which I did back, and I do have. Where did I put it? Did you fall down? Yes, here it is. Right here. Proof that I backed something, and it arrived. This is the ancient Nepal game, Bagh Chal, where you're either some goats or you're some lions. And here we got a little packet of your stuff, still with the silica gel, so you can clearly tell that I did it. You've got the rules. Oh, the rules feel quite nice, actually. Look at this, a bonus unboxing. And then finally, this is also a really nice aspect to it. You have this cloth board with two different sides. Let's go to main view for this. All right, we got this side, and we got that side. That's a bit more faded when you hold it up, but when you put it on the table, actually, it plays pretty well. So there's the two different modes of playing the game, and you want to eat all the goats or surround all the tigers. That's basically how you play. But what I did love about this campaign, one, that it's by Pablo the Pepper's family, Lemery Games. They're the ones who did Chili Mafia, and so for their second Kickstarter campaign, they thought, you know what? We've heard about this cool game. They were traveling. They really like to travel, and they thought, why not do a pay what you can Kickstarter? And this is the only time I've really seen this done. It's a pay what you want to get this game and to just have copies existing. They said, save this game from extinction. That was their whole pitch, was that they wanted to produce a bunch, and for every copy they could produce more copies and give it to Nepal kids and save the actual game. Is it going to make anyone's top 10 abstract games? Maybe, but probably not. It's kind of an older game, but it just being able to bring this to the public in that way, and also offer to anyone who wants it to pay what you want. And that, for me, for cheapy me, makes me spend more. It does. You could have spent $1 to get this thing. I could have spent $1 to get this. And they're like, hey, I mean, it does cost us $9-ish to produce it. So you can pay at cost. You can pay a little bit more to offset people who are paying a little bit less. And in the end, I think it worked out that most people paid Or on average, right, you got some people who couldn't afford it but wanted to try the game. You got some more people who are generous who could support other people getting the game. But on average, it worked out to be a pretty good thing. So I just think it was a really cool concept, something you can only do with a game that is sort of minimal to produce and in the public eye. They didn't have to spend time designing it. They are having another game that's going to be coming out, reviving Kathmandu, which since they've lent me Pablo the Pepper's image and likeness, I'm obviously going to take a look at that and give you a review for when it comes out. So that'll be on its way to me. But I just think this was such a wonderful idea and a wonderful concept. It's to raise awareness of Bagh Chal so we can contribute to its survival. So instead of telling you a price for this game, we'd like to entrust you to pay as much as this cause and the game itself is worth to you. Pay what you want. Like, wow, that's cool. And then, I mean, also as a good marketing technique, they threw in some promo packs for Kathmandu, and then you're on their mailing list, and then they can be like, hey, remember this cool thing that we did? Now you want to support our project because we helped support this other thing just out of the goodness of our hearts, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, I was super stoked to back it. I was super stoked to get my copy. Yeah, so that's my number, whatever it is, number 10. Only 4 more, because remember the top 5 are going to be over on Rahdo's channel. Number 9 is Earth Under Siege Flashpoint. This again was one of those expensive boxes filled with minis that I thought looked really cool, but I have enough of those, so I didn't back it. But I think this looks really good, and this exciting part about this one for me was the stealth, that it's sort of focused on stealth and not necessarily on other stuff. And that you don't want to just go in guns blazing. You actually want to be a little bit strategic and check out the scenario and look at the enemies. And where is the rule book, buddies? Let's get it down to the gameplay. Thank you. What is also cool, I love this too, it's action points. You can use 3 action points a turn, but you start out with 6. So you've always got those extra that you can use and maybe regain in ways, in special ways according to items. I'm sure that's a possibility. But this right here is exciting. There's a whole mountain of guards that you can't take out. You want to get to a different place. This feels like a very fun stealth game in the way that Burn Cycle is trying to be a stealth game. This also feels this feels like it would be better than Burn Cycle, honestly. But again, I haven't played this one. I've only played Burn Cycle. And Burn Cycle only falters for me because of their, getting into trouble side game that I don't really care about, but is really baked into the gameplay. Again, another campaign game as well, which I can't play any more campaign games until I make my way through the 6 boxes of Ether Fields that I own. But yeah, that was definitely my number 9. Number 8, I'm going to move this down here. This was the one that I forgot about and why my list was all messed up, but it drops below a couple of the other things that I have on my way. I did back this, though. I organized a group buy in Toronto, so 3 other people are getting in on this, and my credit card will be charged for it this week, even though they've already kind of produced the games and are sending them out. So I don't know what that policy was, but I think they wanted to get it on this year's worth of income and not last year's worth for whatever tax fraud they're trying to get going. No, it's not. It's just being sensible and making sure that you're not getting a bunch of income without expenses like shipping to offset. This one looks great. It's a set collection game-ish, kind of Sushi Go-ish, but you want to break your items and then repair them with gold. Because if you break it and repair it, it is worth more, because it's the art of Kintsugi, which is that the repairing something and making it whole again makes it even more beautiful because of the struggle and the scars that it's gone through. I think that's a lovely idea as well. I just thought this looked really sweet. I thought it was a great price point at $16 US for something that looked like a fun drafting and sort of collecting game. I said set collection, but you're not really collecting a lot of sets. No, it is set collection because you have these different modifiers, right? You want to collect the things that help each other. So cup and saucer, that's the example that they're giving here. I think this looks great. I'm very excited to have backed it. I think it's going to be an awesome little filler game. I just got the standard edition. The deluxe edition seemed all right. It had, better components instead of wood cubes. For gold, it had metal for gold. That was pretty much it. But the standard edition, I think, was a great value as well. But too late for you to late back. There's pre-orders that you could get. I think that one looks great. Number 7, second last on the list, is the Unfair expansion. I love Unfair. I'm going to get every single bit of content that they produce for Unfair, this is always going to be an instant back for me until they wrong me and this expansion sucks and then I don't do any of the other ones. But I think, yeah, Unfair is a system that I really like. It's a fun tableau builder. I'm less sold on this right now. It feels like it might be a bit overcomplicated, especially with the kaijus, where you have to be rolling dice and battling kaijus as you go along. I kind of just like new cards and different stuff. But I'm willing and excited to take on the kaijus and see what it offers to the game and see how it shakes things up, because I do really love the system. So of course this was going to be an automatic back for me. This is one of those things where I don't care how much it costs. I do, and it does cost me more to get it now than it would at retail. But it only costs me like $5 more, and it gets shipped right to me, and I get to give them a bit more of my money. So I was happy to do that, and ooh, I can't wait for that to come. And then finally, number 6, which just missed out on that sort of top list with Rahdo, was Holotype. This one looks great. I think it does. I remember this was in a week. When did it fund? May 8th. This was in a week. This was in a really big week. And there were a lot of heavy hitters. And I still thought that this looked like a dinosaur accessible worker placement wingspan. That's kind of what I feel like. Again, in that, if you were interested in Encyclopedia, I think you should look at this one too. I don't think this got a lot of attention, but I think it does deserve it, because it seems like a very simple game to play. You have workers, variable workers, some are better than others, and you're just going to place your people, get stuff, very simple things like white cubes and blue cubes, and use that stuff to make some dinosaurs. That's it. But I really was excited about this worker hierarchy and bumping that they're talking about, where bump workers back, but then the opponents get them to use. And I think that decision process is going to be very fun, because if you know somebody's going somewhere, go there first and then get bumped back and you get the extra action. As long as you can capitalize on that and that flow of things, I think that's what I'm really excited about. So what was really nice is that they told me way back in May, they said, hey, we noticed an uptick of people checking out our campaign and getting sales based upon your enthusiasm. And I know you said it was too expensive for you to want to buy. So as a thank you for directing people and being excited about it, do you want to copy the game? I said, yeah, sure. So there'll definitely be a review of this coming down the pipe. And I really hope, we'll see if I was right in calling it, or we'll see if it ends up not being as good as I was hoping it would be. I think it will, though. I think it's going to be really nice. Again, it was a good price point. It was just the shipping to Canada that was a bit too much for me to stomach at the time. But yeah, I'm really quite excited about this one, and I think this is going to be a sleeper hit. And that's kind of exactly what Crowdfunding Countdown is all about: is finding those sleeper hits and talking about them and bringing them to light, right? So I was thrilled that it was funded. I thought it was really cool for them to reach out to me, and that's why it was my number 6. Now, if you want to hear the top 5, oh, you better go over and watch that video. Yeah, watch the video. It was fun. And if you really just want to know them, well, you can do what most people do on YouTube videos, and you just skim through it and see that, of course, it was, you ready? Spoiler alert. I'm not telling you. Fine. Ra, We Whimsical Creatures, Robomon, Septima, Earth. Those are my 5. But Rahdo had a good 5 as well. Not as good as my 5, but it was okay. Anyway, that's it for this video. That's a little retrospective. Those are the top 25 campaigns of 2022. Yes, I'm including Spicify in that. Spicify is one of the top 25 campaigns of 2022. One of the best Kickstarters out there. And if you don't believe me, well, then you obviously haven't been invited to Fabio's secret playtesting parties, because then you'd be changing your tune. The way he plays games is, hopefully you'll have the chance at some point in time. Let me know, what are you the most excited about from 2022? If you're looking back on the stuff that you've backed, now is kind of an interesting time to do a retrospective of what you did back. If it was over 20, then I make you this deal. Oh, I was going to do this game. Now I forgot what the game was. It was something like a guessing game that if you guessed right, it's a bit late now. If you guess one of them correctly, you can make 25 guesses. And if you get one right, you can purchase, and the number that you get right were the number of games that you were allowed to purchase, but the number that you got wrong were the amount of games that you'd have to sell. What were your top campaigns of 2022? I'm also interested. And what's your backing list of things that you did back? And if it's over 20, well, you're not allowed to back any more games until those 20 deliver and you realize that you've lost the space. Get 20 cereal boxes and put them on your shelves as placeholders. I'm telling you, I'm in that situation still. Although most games that I have outstanding, most of the big boxes have delivered. So, of course, that made me feel like I could get more. Anyway, I hope this was kind of fun to reflect on games that I thought looked interesting. You can let me know if you thought they were interesting, if you played them, if I'm wrong, if I'm right, all of that. I just like hearing from you. I sometimes don't respond to every comment, but I do read them all. And I appreciate you all talking, and it makes me feel like you're engaged, and I'm not just talking to myself, and that's always fun. So drop a comment for the algorithm or to say hi. Or just some gibberish, as somebody did recently, which I thought was funny. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, as always. I mean, you're here, you probably have liked and subscribed, but again, it's like 50% of people aren't subscribed, and I just don't know why you wouldn't help me in that way. I try to subscribe to everybody because I know how meaningful it really is when it happens, and how helpful it is to people's, livelihood and success on YouTube. So if you want to help out with that, great. And if not, well, enjoy the free content, you lazy animals. My name is Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, but I do have a way of alienating 50% of my audience. So at least you're in the good 50% because you made it here.